So it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie where
Yeah.
he's so open with his foot fetish, and so it's just like every Quentin Tarantino movie, there's always a scene where the actress has to stick her foot in the camera or get a foot massage or step on somebody.
Joss Whedon's into the same thing.
Gross. They're all degenerates.
I didn't even know about that until recently when they made a joke about Quentin Tarantino and feet. And I was like, what the heck are they talking about? So I Googled it, and I shouldn't have because I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah, plenty of pictures.
No, the worst one is Dan Schneider, the executive who runs like Nickelodeon. Like that guy is a creep because he's got a foot fetish, but he's the one who runs all the tween comedy shows on like Nickelodeon. He used to. He got fired for being a creep, but every tween drama or comedy, whatever, like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody or Zoe 101 or whatever crap that is, the 12-year-old girls, the pop star girls, would always have foot scenes, and you know that fat sack of crap was just furiously enjoying that behind the set.
He asked on Twitter for feet. He was like, "Hey, draw your favorite Nickelodeon show on the bottom of your foot and take a picture of it."
That's the most disgusting thing, because I mean, he's like, "I didn't do anything illegal. There's nothing illegal about asking kids to send me photos of their feet." Like, yeah, but we know what you were doing with those photos, you fucking creep.
Although, I mean,
anyway,
Frank actually wrote a song about that.
Yeah, who did?
Filthy Frank. You guys don't know
Filthy Frank. Oh, okay. Hey guys, welcome to the Bunderdome. We had 3 watchers, and now we're down back to 1. See, this is what happens.
We're on the air.
We talk about feet. Yeah, we're on the air right now.
Oh, geez, I didn't even know.
We've been on the air. What are you talking about? Welcome to the party,
last few minutes. So let me introduce our guests. We have my co-host, as always, Mark Pellegrini. We have Thomas Roy Loop, one of the mod brothers from SWC Revived on YouTube.
The Shitty Brothers. I like that, actually.
The Hut calls them the Shitty Brothers, which I find very endearing. I think that's freaking hilarious.
I thought it was funny, I have to admit.
Speaking of the comic book hut, for our second night in a row, we have the amazing, spectacular, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut.
Hi.
We have Kat Cummings, also known as Wows. He's drunk, which is why he's not saying anything. Wow. And then we have the leading Hispanic author, the Hispanic Stan Lee, said no one ever. John Della Rose, he's with us too.
Said everybody ever.
No.
Said everybody ever. And if you paid attention to the lunch stream with John Della Rose, well, we were already talking about Kamen America, and it ended on feet. And so we thought we would begin with feet. So if you tuned in, then that's why we're talking about feet.
Book ending with feet. I mean, it's really
Is this going to be a thing forever now?
No, I do not want it to be a thing forever, because that would be horrible.
Yes, it will.
So, Hut, how was your day today?
It was okay. You know, I worked, and I keep looking for Richie. I can't find him.
He's hard to find, isn't he? But you know what? I heard on one of your streams that apparently it's actually a reference to something, but it's not something I'm aware of. It's like a movie?
Yeah, it's a Steven Seagal movie. They called it Out for Justice.
Oh, okay. So was it him who said it?
There's a scene in the movie where Steven Seagal's looking for someone that killed his partner, and he goes to a bar, and he's just looking for Richie. That's the guy that killed his partner.
Richie April or something.
No, it's like something Richie, but his partner was Bobby Lupo.
Okay.
So he gets into a big fight with everybody in the bar.
And he says,
clapping their ears and stuff.
I'll send you the scene.
Okay.
Is this movie where he beats everybody up with like a broken pool stick, and they have machine guns?
Yeah, I think I remember that too. Yeah, they have machine guns, but what is a machine gun going to do against a broken pool cue?
But it worked in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze also.
Roadhouse.
That's a great movie. Although ultimately they don't need pool cues when they just have several shotguns to blast Ben Gazzara into salsa.
Oh, Mark hasn't seen it. Now, Thomas, is that on your list of movies people should watch if they want to be a better artist?
It's not, but funny thing is, first time I ever saw it was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago because of the riff tracks for it. There's 2 different riff tracks for it, and I watched both. One is just Mike, and then the other's Mike and, I can't say the bots, but it's Mike and Kevin and whatever. But They're doing Roadhouse, and I had no idea Roadhouse is just like the last half hour of it is just hilariously, ridiculously, pointlessly violent, and it's just great because it like turns into a Punisher movie at that point.
I don't feel like I need to see Roadhouse because I've already seen the best part. The part where he rips out a guy's Adam's apple with his bare hands.
Well, that was right after he does that. Right after the guy like had Patrick Swayze in the chokehold and says, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison," which is definitely a great one-liner.
Okay, that sure showed him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it didn't work out entirely well for him in the long run, but still.
No, I thought that movie was amazing, and the reason I saw it was because there was a guy on Twitter. What was his name? It was like Dad Bod Carl or something like that. It was a meme like 5 years ago, and all he talked about was how great Roadhouse was. And so I just watched it. I read it on Amazon Prime, and I'm like, what is this about? Like a guy who's a bouncer for a roadhouse? And I mean, that's like superficially what it's about.
Yeah, on the surface, it's like, well, that doesn't sound very interesting at all. And then, you know, you keep watching it, and it's really, I don't know if it's about anything, to be honest, but no, it's strength.
And he, like Patrick Swayze, like basically has relations with a woman on his rooftop. Like he's a bouncer, but he has like a penthouse. It's so crazy. And then you're right, at the end, like the last 30 minutes of the movie, it turns into like an action movie, like full blown with guns and stuff. It's so insane.
And whenever that scene is on TV, whenever Roadhouse is on TV, the lady, the nice lady in it, I guess Bill Murray knows her, so he calls her house and says, "Hey, Patrick Swayze is having sex with you on TV." Or he calls her husband specifically every time, and she's like, "Yeah, that's true. Bill Murray does that. I don't know why Bill Murray does that, but it's really annoying. I wish they would stop airing that movie forever."
Well, it's great. If you're listening in the chat, or if you're one of our esteemed guests and you haven't seen Roadhouse, make sure the kids aren't around, because it looks, it actually, like the Blu-ray and DVD cover makes it look like family friendly, because it looks like an ad for Applebee's. Like it's Patrick Swayze got the cover with his arms crossed, like looking confident, and you have like basically like a Texas Roadhouse in the background with a neon sign that says Roadhouse. And you're like,
that's not the name of the place. That's the really weird thing. The place isn't called Roadhouse either. It's just the name of the movie.
It's called Double Deuce.
Yeah, it doesn't. Of all the things that don't make sense, that's one of the things that really doesn't make the most sense.
Yeah, and so you look at it and you're mistaken, because you're looking through the DVD aisle or Blu-ray section, and you're like, "What's this Applebee's promotional video doing here?" And then you watch it, and it's just insane. It
like a new employee training video. So whenever Applebee's gets a new waiter, they have to show them Roadhouse.
That's what the movie has, though. The movie has Patrick Swayze as like a bouncer trainer who trains the other bouncers how to react properly. And it's like, so that's what this movie is about. It's about a guy who trains other bouncers, and then it's not even remotely about anything like that anymore.
But his training is like really cryptic. So he's like, okay, so
it's Zen.
your baby, and they want to put you in a corner, but you're not going to let them. I think I got my movies mixed up. Was that Dirty Dancing?
That was Dirty Dancing.
No, that was Ghost.
Oh yeah, that was Ghost also. Yeah, no, in Roadhouse, it's like, if they spit in your face, if they stomp on your foot, whatever, you're going to be nice until it's time to not be nice. And
what the fuck does that mean?
Okay, I guess.
I'm impressed by your volumic knowledge of movie quotes. I just saw that movie like less than 8 months ago, and I was like, "Oh yeah, he did say that."
That's one of the only famous lines in the whole movie, aside from "I used to fuck guys like you in prison," and then "Pain don't hurt." When he's
I know that one. Pain don't hurt.
Yeah,
it sounds like an intelligent movie that someone probably got paid a lot of money to write.
Yeah, it looks like it's a well-made movie, and it's well acted, and it's actually overall when you finish watching it, it's like that. I think that was good. I
feel that way about Commando.
It was like Commando.
Yeah, Commando is a good comparison, actually.
I remember, and by the way, Commando was scripted by Jeff Loeb.
Yeah,
who was also the person behind like Batman Hush.
Yeah.
So that's the caliber of movie you're getting, I guess.
But I mean, that kind of is a good thing. Because sometimes you want to watch a movie like that where Arnold just has a giant rocket launcher, a big 4-shot rocket launcher that he's just shooting at cars. I also like when the lady just has one and she's like, how do they work this thing? It's like shooting it backwards and stuff. I thought that was funny. It was very cute.
Well, I remember after I saw Roadhouse, like I didn't know what to feel about it. And the next day, I think I was talking to Mark, and I was like, I saw this movie last night, Roadhouse. And he was like, what? I said, I don't know what to think about it.
Yeah, good luck trying to explain. Well, what happens in it is you just draw a blank trying to explain what the movie's about, what happens in it, why it happens. At some point, there's a monster. Actually, the first ever monster truck in history. Bigfoot shows up to just drive through a car dealership, and the guy gets out and is like, "Yeah, I drove through your car dealership. What are you going to do about it?" And then just leaves, and that's the main bad guy.
And there's no repercussions.
No, well, except that he gets blasted to pieces with several shotguns at the end. But that doesn't really even have much to do with driving over cars with a monster truck.
It's delightful. Getting back on topic, so we were going to talk about Kamen America, and what I want to say real quick for people watching live and on replay, I just want to say thank you so much. This is our first time being on Kickstarter. We didn't know what to expect, but it was thanks to John Della Rose and Preston Poulter and Wes from Thinking Critical who convinced us to go onto Kickstarter. And it was Wes specifically because he's not a creator, he's a consumer. And I just asked him yesterday because we filmed an interview together, and I asked him, hey, as a consumer, I want to get your opinion because John Della Rose and Preston are saying to go there, but they're creators. What do you think? And he said unequivocally, yes, do it, because there are people like me who buy only from one platform or the other, and it paid off. They are right, because I've been getting messages all day from people who have never heard of Mark or me, and they're messaging us and asking us questions like, hey, is this book like a new title? It's a volume 1, but was there an issue 1 somewhere? Like, have you guys done other stuff? So it's been kind of a really interesting learning experience in the last few hours. And the other thing too was I was calculating how much we were making on just individual sales per hour based on some of our previous campaigns. And it's a lot steadier and it's a lot faster, which means that there is a bigger community on Kickstarter that is, I think, actively looking for new titles to back. So I really want to say, since it's here already, John Della Rose, thank you so much for the recommendation. It's paid off. We've made our goal, so we're happy. We're going to it's just a store, a pre-order store essentially. So we're just going to keep going from where it is. We're not going to make it too fancy. Other than tomorrow morning, we are going to reopen the rewards tier for people who missed out on that, because we do have a few extra. And other than that, I mean, what we're going to spend the rest of this time doing, I guess from now until the campaign ends, is yes, we're going to promote our book, but we're also going to promote other people who have campaigns that are ongoing. We're going to try and help each other. So John Della Rose, next week, he has Dynamite Thor, which is going to go live on Kickstarter. But most importantly, I'm going to put the link in the chat for the Napalm Brothers, because the Napalm Brothers is doing very well. It's had a lot of exposure the last few days, but they're at 228% of their goal, which was $500. So they're at 1,141 right now. Doug Garrett, who's actually maintaining that campaign, he composed our theme music, and he's a really good guy. He's very humble, but he's so good at what he does, and we can't thank him enough. So if you would be so kind and you want to check out that independent title, make sure to click on the link and check out the Napalm Brothers. I put that link in the chat. So if you're watching this on replay or coming in late, just make sure to look at the timestamp and check that out as well. But we're pretty over the moon in terms of where we are. I actually got a call from our printer a few minutes ago. I don't think this is going to pan out, but he was like, I think I can save you $1,000 on printing. I'll get back to you tomorrow. And I'm like, you're already offering us like a pretty good deal on printing. So I don't even know if this is legit or not, but it's not going to really matter because Mark and I, we priced the book as low as we can feasibly do it. So if anything else, if we do end up saving money, we are going to just pass that savings on to the consumer by throwing in other things. I'm already in talks with Carrot to, I think, throw in another sticker if we just sell completely out of everything. And that's the least we can do to make it worthwhile for the people who have backed us. So thank you to everyone who has supported us by pre-ordering the book. We are not going to disappoint you. Depending on how the Kickstarter goes, I just read that it can take up to 21 days to send funds over. If it does take that long, I am not allowed to start an Indiegogo without first getting the funds from Kickstarter. So if that's the case, we are going to send the Kickstarter books out in March. These books will be printed and shipped within the next 3 weeks. I will have them on hand. We will ship them in March. If we are allowed to run an Indiegogo campaign immediately after Kickstarter, then we will postpone it and do all fulfillment in April. You are going to get a book before May. We are going to put May as our incidental timestamp, which means that in the worst case scenario, we will be delayed by 1 month. But at the earliest, March, at the latest May. And by then, we will already be started on Black Ops 3. So Mark and I are very ecstatic to be working at full steam. We intend to get 6 books out by the end of the year. So I want to thank everyone for helping us, because that's really cool. I didn't know what to expect.
Really
Are you going to call Black Ops 3 Hippie to the Hoppa?
Hippie to the
Love
Hoppa. Or they could fight a villain named Jimmy Hoppa.
Which, yeah, very natural enemy, of course.
Pocket Track Comics, again, I think I mentioned him. I want to say thank you to him for giving us some good advice. He says you can do the campaigns at the same time or different times, makes no difference. So the reason I don't want to do that is I heard an urban legend, and the urban legend was that someone said that they tried running an Indiegogo campaign the week after Kickstarter without getting the funds first from Kickstarter, and Kickstarter withheld funds and basically negated the whole thing because they didn't like the fact that he was going on a competitor's platform without first fulfilling his own. So that's why I'm hesitant. I'm gonna play it safe.
That's an urban legend, I think.
I am paranoid, man. I'm going to play it by the book. I don't want to mess this up. I mean, that's the last thing I want to do is I don't want people to back us on Kickstarter and then have the rug pulled out from under them. I think that'd be a waste of our time and theirs. So I don't think it hurts to just play it right. Or square.
Well, if it does happen, if something does happen, Tim, there are those of us who have developed means to combat this through legal means. So you can talk to me.
I got very good advice from a very prominent creator that we know, and it's that if you can avoid the legal stuff, do it as much as possible. And I do not want to retain a lawyer or even contemplate it.
Tim. It's fun taking these companies on, I got to tell you.
Well, let's ask the Comic Book Hut. Comic Book Hut, does that sound like fun, hiring a lawyer and getting into legal things? I think he went away. Comic Book Hut, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Did you hear my question?
What was the question? Sorry.
He just wasn't paying attention to me. I was asking you if it sounded like fun getting into a legal fracas.
No, of course not.
There you go.
A lot of people want to sue me,
Yeah.
I heard about that. I heard that people want to sue critics, but
a lot of people want to sue a lot of people, it seems.
Yes.
It's really popular these days.
But a lot of these companies with these terms of services have opened themselves up to various claims because they've honestly been mistreating consumers in the way that they run some of these all of these operations for the most part. And as all of them are based in the great state of California, we have even greater legal protections with so many laws that you wouldn't even be able to believe it. I love California so much.
It's a lot of red tape, that's for sure. And you live there, so you would know.
I do.
I like these titles in the chat. These are clever. Black Ops 3, Rise of the Skyhopper.
I like Harabellum. Harabellum's
Harabellum's great.
Harabellum.
Asuka.
You might actually have to go with that.
You have to go with that.
Yeah.
No. Listen to this. So here's what we do. We decided that we would rotate our puns. So the first pun we do is based on bunnies. So we use bun. The second one is hair, and the third one is hop. So our title was going to be Apocalypse Now.
Oh, that's actually good too.
But Black Ops 5 will probably be Harabellum. So Asuka, if you message me on Twitter, just remind me. I will send you some good stuff. If you don't mind us using that title, because that's a pretty good title. Now, Mark, how come we can't be that clever?
We were stealing all of our titles from Bugs Bunny cartoons. I mean,
that was our secret. Bianca Fights a Zombie says the Hut's blue screen of death, Windows Edition. When are you going to change your tape to like red?
Well, it's kind of too late now. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's right.
I was going to.
You should do that tomorrow.
Can you just turn off? You can just hit the start cam button, and it should turn off the webcam.
I think it's like his personality. He likes to tape.
Yes.
Like a weird, mysterious
drafting tape.
Drafting.
He said, I know that in the stream he said he was going to use like green tape for St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
Oh. Is it actually going to look green though?
I think so. The cameras tend to pick up on the colors, even slightly.
My finger's over it now. It's black.
Yeah, there we go.
Camera. See?
Oh wow. Yeah, it turned black.
Look at everybody's amazed by this. Look at this.
It's hypnotizing.
Y'all are so clever. Tony S. Black Ops Space Harrier, but he's not going into space. We haven't jumped that shark yet.
If he does, when he does, you can have that on retainer.
Black Ops 3, Optimus Prime. I like that one too.
Genzo Man, that'd actually be really cool too.
Oh my gosh! I wish I could. I was just talking to him this morning. He lives in Chile. He's from Chile. Yeah. Though I did put him in connection with a friend of ours to do work because I asked him. I was like, "Are you available for commissions?" And he's like, "Hell yeah!" So I sent him in the way of a certain creator. So that should be interesting. I can't wait for that.
Pretty top shelf too.
He's great, and he's very reasonable in terms of his pricing too. But he's a master. I mean, he did all of those udon. All that udon art for Capcom, like in the 90s, even up until today. So
I think I recognized a lot of that too. Yeah,
we're going to talk about this. So I guess I'll spoil it, but I think tomorrow we're going to show it. Matt Weldon and I are doing a Street Fighter swimsuit cover for the 2020 edition, and so it's actually going to be another Genzoman piece.
Nice.
Who did that? Someone breathed really heavily into the mic.
That was Cummings. That's who.
Cummings.
It's always Cummings.
He was like, I was like, ugh.
I mean, I almost thought it was your screechy demon possessed microphone again, but I guess not today.
It's like a rabbit demon possessing my microphone.
Did you hear any more demons today after last night?
No, but I'll tell you what. I listened to that audio this morning when it was bright and sunny, and it scared me.
It was still just so creepy.
It was frightening. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Pocket Jack. So Preston, udon as in noodles. No, udon as in the publisher. But you know what? I don't know if you want this, Preston, but I think since you work on White Lily and especially I would say Guinevere, if you have some line art for Guinevere in the Divinity Factory and you want to get Genzo to help you out, just let me know and I can shoot over some of your information. I know he's kind of picky in terms of who he picks, but I think if I make a referral for you, I think we can
imagine Genzo would absolutely that would be a great cover actually. A great main cover variant or whatever for one of Preston's comics.
Genzo sells he helped big time, especially with like his. I think we had a double whammy today because we had him and Cute Sexy Robots sharing their cover art, and I thought that was really cool because I know for Black Ops, I think it was Cute Sexy Robots. They were out of town, and so they weren't able to like tweet anything out until like days later. So we actually didn't get a hit until later on. This time we actually got both of them at the same time, so that was a lot of fun.
That's a big coup too, because that's a lot. That's like two artists that I know a lot of like younger comic readers are very aware of. Have seen that they have tons and tons of followers. They're extremely popular just for drawing and stuff, and that's that's something that you really can't get by just trying to adhere to like a kind of a usual like a stuffy comics tradition or something. Basically have to go to the newer generation, and that's going to be a huge pull again with just getting art by them is going to be a huge deal. I think that's great.
Yeah, and the good thing about especially a guy like Genzoman, because I know Cute Sexy Robots probably a little bit quote unquote controversial because of some of the content that they do, which by the way, that's another story for another time, but I did not know about that. Mark was the one who told me and was like, "Oh, you got Cute Sexy Robots." I was like, "Yeah." Do you know what they do? No.
You haven't seen any of their other stuff? It's good promotion for them too. I mean, check out their Twitter account. I'm a follower, absolutely.
Right. But Genzoman has like a classic style because he's been around since like the whatchamacallit, been around since the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s actually. I didn't know he went that far back because his stuff still looks just as modern as most other artists. Like most other artists who are even just starting off but are really good, or who have been going for 10 years and are like just about pros and that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. I was going to ask Complicut a question. Did you put up a video today?
Yes, I put up a few videos up today.
You did? I'm going to have to check them out. I didn't know if you...
I know I put one up before. I do so many I forget sometimes. Yeah, I posted one about 2 hours ago.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out. Did you pick up any good comics today or this week?
No, not this week. I didn't get a chance to go. There's nothing this week. That's good.
But have you been liking the James Tynion run on Batman?
Oh, it's terrific. It's really good.
It's
terrific. Wow.
I've heard a mixed bag about it.
No, I like it. It's better than Tom King.
On Batman? Oh, it's terrific. Well, I mean, if you're trying to beat Tom King, I don't think that's like too hard to do.
No, it's not. I don't know if you guys saw it. I sent this to Tim that they announced the cover artist for Bigfoot Bill 2.
Oh yeah. Doug mentioned that. Wasn't it Sean Gordon Murphy? Isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow,
pretty sweet.
He posted it on Instagram. Somebody sent that to me.
Well, I didn't know if that was a secret or not.
Well, he just Doug was just streaming right before you guys, and I was listening to Doug's stream. I was like, should I go on with Doug? Because I'm still trying to sell that auction, and but I was just listening to Doug's stream, and he mentioned that Sean Gordon Murphy was doing the cover, and I was like, whoa, that's huge. And again, it looks like it's going to be just a great month in general for indie comics because you got Kamen American here, and then Bigfoot Bill 2 is about to launch. And it's like one after the other, and then you're already going to be putting out another comic in the next couple of months or something.
Yeah, I mean, next week I get started on the Magalorian for the full script, and that one I can't release the details in terms of our release schedule on that one. I think people are going to be very, very happy when they find out what we're doing with it. But that one it's 32 pages, and at a page a day, that will roughly take me between 30 and 45 days because I take the weekends off. And so that one will be done by end of March approximately. And then immediately after that, we're going to get started on Black Ops 3. So, I mean, we don't stop. I mean, I don't even think Mark have you been thinking about Black Ops 3 in terms of what you want to do with it?
When are you going to be back? When are you going to be back up here?
End of February, because we have that convention to do in Fayetteville.
Right. Okay. So when you get back up here, we're going to have a powwow, and we're going to have to figure out exactly which plot we want to do, and then do the whole plot summary thing, and then I do the page breakdowns, and I get started on the script and all that stuff.
I think Captain Cummings will appreciate this, but the hardest part about doing like a military themed book is that it's like you can't escalate the stakes every single time, because if it's like a world-ending disaster, then obviously it gets to the point where it's like, okay, now you're getting into the reach where the audience can't suspend disbelief anymore because there's no real threat. But so what I've been trying to do is I compiled a list of like legitimate threats that are like in Tom Clancy novels, because like that tends to be part of like the whole like I guess geopolitical sphere of potential dangers. So that's been like a difficult thing, because in the first one he had to prevent a nuclear launch. In the second one, we actually scaled it down, whereas like they have to prevent like a monster attack on the city. And so I think for our third one, right now I think we're looking at an assassination angle. But I don't know. Like Mark just said, we haven't really sat down and actually hammered it out.
Well, we've got two plots that we were thinking about, one for 3 and one for 4. We just don't know if we want to do one or the other for 3. So we got to basically pick which one we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Captain,
is the star of the book going to be in this?
The Rigor Tortoise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Rigor Tortoise. Now, and
I loved him.
The turtle's got to prevent an assassination, and that seems relatively easy when it comes to just shell cover it, and it's problem went away.
Just throw it.
Yeah, exactly. Just frisbee in front of the bullet's path.
Right.
We got to do an action scene where like the sniper is about to shoot the president, and so USAGI just kicks Rigor Tortoise in the way, and it deflects the bullet with the shell. There we go.
Although you gotta build the tension by like, oh no, Rigor Tortoise is crawling very close. He's trying to get to the president in time. Oh no, he's gonna crawl there in time to absorb the bullet.
No, he stopped to eat some jelly beans.
It was actually like, it was interesting to hear the input from the Comic Book Hut and also the Needle Mover Society, because Matt Veely and his wife read it and they said the same thing as the Comic Book Hut. And it's interesting because from a creator's point of view, we're kind of myopic in that we can only see it from our standpoint. We don't know how qualitatively good our work is until a reader tells us. And I think Mark and I kind of thought the same thing. We were like, well, the breakout star is going to be Patriotter because he's kind of like the Raphael. He's kind of this dude with an attitude type thing. But Comic Book Hut and the Needle Mover Society both said the exact same thing. They're like, I like the turtle. The turtle was the best. I was like, oh, okay, if that's what you want.
Mentioning Rigor Tortoise as being their favorite.
Yeah. And I was kind of taken aback because we just wrote that in as a gag. Mark was inspired by in like the Ninja Turtles comic. That's kind of one of the things that they did during the micro series was they would have these kind of vignettes happening at the very last panel of the page. And so he just thought we should do something like that, where we just have this like kind of narrative at the end of the page that looks like it's not connected to anything. And then at the end, it pays off because it is connected to the main storyline.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, Rigor Tortoise was inspired by like two things. It was the Leonardo micro series. That's the one where Leonardo is running across the city while the Foot Clan and the Shredder's chasing him. But in every page, there was a little like one panel strip at the very bottom of the page that was back at April's apartment where the turtles are all like celebrating Christmas and have no idea like that Leonardo's getting jacked up. Like the layout idea was inspired by that, but like Rigor Tortoise himself, the joke was inspired by Tex Avery cartoons, because Tex Avery, if you go back and watch like his cartoons, one of the gags he loved was the running gag of like this dopey character who would wander into the cartoon and then just kind of like disappear, and he would do it like 5 or 6 times, and then at the very end of the cartoon, he would just like pull out a gun and shoot everybody or something. Like it would be it would pay off at the very end of the cartoon. Like Droopy would walk into the cartoon. Yeah, like Droopy would walk into the cartoon and be like, I'm the hero of this story, and then he'd walk away, and then he'd do it like 3 or 4 more times, and at the end he'd kill the wolf and he'd make out with the hot chick. And that was kind of the idea with Rigor Tortoise.
Are you gonna do something with Hair Trigger? As a series?
Yeah.
Oh man, how much should we spoil, Mark? How much do we spoil? I don't know.
Do you like me and spoil everything you're doing for the next 2 years?
No. Well, that's the thing.
I don't want to spoil any plot points, but we are going to be using Hair Trigger some more. We actually do have a Hair Trigger centric storyline. We're not sure if we're going to do it for number 3 or number 4, but she does have her own story arc that we're planning.
Yeah, we've plotted what she's going to do for the next 3 volumes, because she's going to be a major character. We wouldn't have named our second volume after her if it didn't mean that she was going to be pivotal. But I mean, like, G.I. Joe. Oh, here we go. We're going to talk about G.I. Joe, like our favorite topic. But anyway, so Comic Book Hut, I know you like G.I. Joe, but she's basically like our Baroness character. And like in the comic, the Baroness is more important than she is in the cartoon, because there's a lot of plot stuff that Larry Hama wrote around her, like especially how she ties into like Destro and Snake Eyes and stuff. So we kind of have the same thing where we have the characters' essential Bible in stone and how it ties into other things. But I like her character, and I was very flattered when you said you liked the character design.
Oh, great design.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, Well, what can I do? And I know that in like anime and manga, they wear like these impractical costumes, and so I kind of like that. So I was like, let's just, if she hunted jackalopes, let's have her wear like a fur shawl with like jackalope horns sticking out of it.
Sticking out, like if you raise one arm a little too much, you're gonna get just jabbed in the side of the face with it.
Right. Or check your phone.
Yeah.
You lean over a little bit, it just goes in your ear. But I liked it. Mark liked it, and then Comic Book Cut was like, I like that design. And I was like,
I drew it. That's how much I liked it.
I did. I know. I saw it. It looked really good. The other thing, if you want to know, there's actually a visual gag. She has like, I don't know what you call it, like bangs on the side of her head, but they're like lop ears on a rabbit.
Oh,
and on
really?
the top of her, on the top of her head, she has a bun. So basically, she's like a walking pun on rabbits. I wanted to ask you, Comic Book Cut, do you like Transformers?
I never liked the comic book. The cartoon I liked.
Because you made a joke recently, and I laughed so hard. I was watching on replay, but you said something to the effect of like, "Is this character Jazz, the Transformer that dies in everything?" I just like died laughing when you said that.
Well, I don't remember now. I say so much stuff. I never remember half the stuff I say.
But that was like almost like an inside joke because, he dies in Transformers.
Oh yeah, all the time. All these movies, he always dies, and the cartoon he dies.
Did he die in the cartoon, Mark? I know he didn't die in the movie.
Jazz just disappeared because his voice actor Scatman Crothers died, so they just stopped using Jazz in the cartoon. He just kind of like disappeared.
Oh, and Scatman Crothers dies in The Shining too.
He dies in The Shining.
Yeah.
Gee, yeah. What does Scatman Crothers survive? He lives through.
But maybe The Shining is part of the shared universe of the Transformers.
Twilight Zone the movie.
Yeah.
Was he in Twilight Zone the movie?
Yeah, he was in the terrible Steven Spielberg segment, the kick the can.
Kick the can.
Stops the movie dead. Yeah.
Bye. I thought Steven Spielberg did the ball turret gunner one where it lands a plane with a fluffy cartoon.
No, that was Amazing Stories.
Oh yeah, that's right. Same diff, I guess.
Yeah.
Disfigure 7 says, when is Tim Lim going to draw fan art of Daisy from Doom Eternal? I will be honest with you. I don't know what their name is. I followed them on Twitter, but someone drew the most adorable Doomslayer and Daisy art. And since I saw that, I was like, there's nothing I can do to top it. So I'm not even going to try. Like, they've already achieved like the pinnacle of.
You know what I don't get? I'm not getting this trend on Twitter where everyone's drawing Doomslayer and Isabel from Animal Crossing. Y'all been seeing that too? Like the little dog from Animal Crossing. She's also a character in Smash now, but they've been drawing her with Doomslayer.
I think actually it's because she's from Animal Crossing, and apparently the new Animal Crossing is coming out on the exact same day as Doom Eternal.
Oh, is that it? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. The fuck?
I wouldn't have known that otherwise.
Do you like Doom, Captain Cummings?
No.
Do I like Doom?
I don't even know what it is. Oh, I'm sorry.
The 90s video game?
Plus the new. Yeah. There's also the new remake.
My mom wouldn't let me play it because it was too violent.
Well, you go to hell. You don't want to let your kids play that. They'll.
That's terrible. It was pretty grody.
I was too preoccupied with this story because it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, wait a minute, how is this theologically possible?
Like, theologically possible for Doom?
Theologically,
it's a little. Aren't they on Mars or something like that?
What?
Yeah, they go to Mars and they open up a portal to hell. Like, why is the portal to hell on Mars?
Everybody knows the portal to hell is in Kansas. Come on.
I think they wanted to keep it away from Earth, not because anything was going to go wrong, but because it was intended to go wrong. It's weird. The new Doom game from a couple years ago actually goes a lot into depth of this, and it's really funny because they reveal like there's the legend of the Doomslayer, who's you. And you just every computer monitor you come across that tells you this, and they're like, we're just gathering Argent energy from hell. That's all we're doing. It's no big deal. Just put the controller down. Stop smashing everything. let us continue gathering the Argent energy. Instead, you smash everything, and then all the people getting pissed off at you is like, why are you doing this? You're breaking everything.
Yeah, I haven't played the new Doom at all, but I will say this: the best Doom movie ever made was Event Horizon.
It's true. It's 100% true.
Very.
What do you think, Kamen Cummings?
The one with The Rock.
No.
Well, that's the Doom.
That's
the actual Doom movie.
Yeah.
That's the Doom movie. Doom.
Event Horizon is with Sam O'Neill, I think.
Yes, it was Sam O'Neill.
Actually, to the video game.
Yeah, so Event Horizon is like if Doom and Silent Hill had a baby and they made a movie, like that would be Event Horizon. The Doom movie is just, even as a adaptation of the game, it's lousy. I mean, like there's no variety of the monsters that they fight in that movie. Like they fight zombies, and they don't look like, you know, the imps that throw fireballs aren't there. The Caco demons aren't there. The Barons from Hell aren't there. It's so boring. Like, I think there's that first person sequence, and like during that really shitty. Yeah, and I think he fights one of the demons in that, you know, like the dog faced demons. I think that's in that sequence, but
it's an evil.
Terrible. Yeah. Ugh.
Tony S says the best Doom movie is the Super Mario Brothers movie. I enjoy that movie unironically. I love that movie. Do you like that movie, Combo Cut? I know you don't play video games, but did you like that one?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, that's how little video games you play. You don't even see the movies based off of them.
No,
that's dedication right there.
Most people have seen the Super Mario movie, though.
I think I'm gonna take my kids to see Sonic tomorrow.
I mean, I'm seeing it on Saturday. I can't say no to the movie.
Yeah.
He goes, hey guys, you know it's St. Patrick, or it's Valentine's Day. He's like, Sonic the Hedgehog also comes out, and I go, what does that have to do with anything?
What does that have to do with anything? Normally, you time your movies to kind of coincide with the season, which is why like your Oscar bait movies are around Christmas. That's kind of weird.
It's because the movie was supposed to come out in November, but the Sonic the Hedgehog CG design was so monstrously frightening, like it was like a monster from Doom, like a blue Caco demon. So they had to delay it to February to fix the movie.
Demons actually look cuter in Doom.
Speaking of which, guys, I got to roll and hang out with the kids real quick. So back Kamen America, if you haven't already. I've backed it. Cummings has backed it. I can't speak for the others, but that's what we're here to do. So
I want to. I might, but I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just to let people know, I do not look at my backer list. So the most support that you can give us is just anything. If you back the book, great. If you share the link out or tell your friends about it, wonderful. I do not keep track of who does what. So
I do. I'm like, has Madison Lynn backed it yet? Has Madison Lynn backed it yet?
I don't even know how to look at that stuff. I mean, I forward all this stuff to fulfillment, and they take care of it. But for the people out there who have help and I need to acknowledge, trust me, I am very appreciative of it. So thank you very much, John.
Of course, brother.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Have a good one. I don't know
what happened with you, Mark. I don't know. Have I ever even been on a stream with you, Mark?
Yes, twice.
Twice? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you guys talked about horror movies the whole time that time. Yeah. I was like, I don't have anything to input on this. That's right.
Yeah.
And if you still want to, and John, if you still want to stream about like creepy and eerie and EC volumes, let me know. We can do that.
I can do. Let's do that next week. So.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool. See you, brother.
Bye. And then it says here, Custom Hot Dog already saw it, but he says, Sonic was great, boys. And then he says, did Mark just say Bukkake Demon?
No, but that's going to be a villain in Black Ops 5. Thanks for inspiring me. Full custom. We'll call it the full custom Bukkake Demon.
Speaking of Full Custom Hot Dog, let me put him up here real quick. He has a great channel. So if you haven't checked out Full Custom Hot Dog, he's very entertaining. I've just been kind of getting caught up in terms of listening to my YouTube content, but he has a great channel. He's very talkative. There's no dead air. It's a lot of fun. And then just to mention the combo cut is really cool too. And I think most people in our chat probably subscribe to him already, but if you haven't, make sure to subscribe to Combo Cut. And obviously we have our friend Thomas Royloop with us as well. He runs SWC Revived, and that's short for Spotty Web Comics. So make sure to check that one out as well. And then Tony S says, makes me think of this thick Kako demon girl I keep seeing art of. Well, I will take your word for it. I have not Google that.
The thick imp from H Doom or something.
I know. I've seen the art he's talking about. They posted on 4chan. It's literally like the Kako demon is shaped like a mad ball, right? So it's just a circle. So like the front of it is the Kako demon with the one-eyed monster with the horns, but then the other side around it are just these like perfect feminine buttocks. These giant.
Oh my God.
Butt. Yeah.
That's so degenerate. The internet is it's an amazing and scary place all at the same time. You just never know what's going to happen. Model 316 says, sub to the shitty brothers.
Yeah, just go look up SWC Revived. Oh, yeah, and I wanted to make sure to plug the auction also.
Yeah, so let me pull that up real quick. Go ahead and talk, and I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah,
I have the link here.
It's one of the pages, the original actual art pages from the new Earthworm Jim comic by Doug TenNapel. He sent me it. It's like the original, like full-sized page, and he sent it to me specifically to auction. So that I can try.
Oh man, that's a good page too. I mean, all the pages in that comic look great, but wow, that's
yeah. This one's especially good because like along the bottom it includes Earthworm Jim and holding a dog, and then at the top is like Psy-Crow looking very Psy-Crow-y. It's really
it's got a bunch of the classic characters in it. Like it's got Peter Puppy, it's got Earthworm Jim, it's got Queen Slug for a butt, and it's got Psy-Crow all on one page. Like yeah, it's a great.
And they're all interacting and doing stuff, and it's just really cool. And yeah, I put it up for 500 starters. It's been up for a week, and not really anything going on so far, but really terrible at like promoting stuff that's like I've never had eBay before.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's because I've never thought about auctioning anything I've had to anyone. But I mean, you know, this is definitely unique circumstance at least. But this, again, it's a great page, guaranteed to go up in value, whatever anyone pays for this, because it's, you know, the one of a kind, the actual original art from the comic, done directly by Doug before it's colored or lettered or anything.
The weird thing about some of those auctions a lot of the time is if you lower the price down, people then start bidding on it, and you get it goes up higher than what you would expect it.
Yeah, it's I think when the timer runs out in like a day, it's gonna just put itself back up and I think it sort of automatically will do a price drop, which is fine for me.
Yeah, what you could do too is you can set it at kind of the minimum that you would want for it, like 350, and then people can start bidding on it to get to the point where you're happy with, or at least the maximum amount that you were expecting.
Yeah,
because I honestly don't. Well, because I don't buy much original art. Actually, the most original art I own is from Matt Weldon, and I don't think I've owned a single piece of original art that was more than $150. But then again, I don't buy from like big name artists at all.
That's the thing with me.
There was one, I was tempted to buy an original piece of Joe Madureira's art. He was at a convention in San Antonio, and I came prepared. I brought like $400 with me, and I think he wanted like 1,500 per page. I was like, oh, holy cow, no, that's just not going to happen at all. But I mean, it's a Doug TenNapel, right? And so like, I would not be surprised if it goes for 500. That's actually the price I think he tells people it normally goes for.
Yeah, another thing that somebody mentioned in the chat is that it's because it's a new account. You know, there's like zero feedback, which I, knew ahead of time that could be a problem. So I made sure to get a video, like right up front on the description. There's a video that has Doug TenNapel confirming the sale and the existence of the auction. I'm not sure how much that helps, but it's either as much as I can do, or I mean, other people offered to like try and auction it for me, but I don't want to cut anyone else in, to be honest. But I mean, if I have to, I wanted to see what would happen basically if I just put it up myself and see what goes for at this price or not. But again, completely out of my element.
Yeah, more power to you. I mean, hopefully, if people are watching this on replay and they're interested in it, yeah, I can vouch for Thomas over here. Doug TenNapel did a video that shows the original piece of art, and if you want to contact him, he's actually pretty easy to reach. So if you need to verify the veracity of the page, that should be pretty easy to do.
If you want to ask Doug, if you want to ask Doug directly, he'll verify this. And I think possibly one of the other issues is nobody's really that aware that the auction exists. So that's also, I was going to say a feature, but that's not a feature at all.
Little big man.
I don't know how eBay works, but I think it does suck in the way that like new eBay accounts don't get shown as much as like the bigger ones.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I do know that I have no other use for eBay, so I can't really do anything about. Like, I'm not going to go sell a bunch of stuff on eBay to try and build like seller feedback just to sell this one thing, because I don't need to do that.
Big Man Little Flowers in the chat says, at back Kamen America, are you adding more tiers? We're not adding more tiers, but what we're doing is I am reopening the rewards tier, because we were only selling 40 and we sold out within the first 3 hours. And because I bought some to spread between 2 campaigns, I am just going to put, I think, the rest of them up tomorrow. And if we sell out, I still have about 2 weeks, so I can make another rush order for more for the next campaign. So that's what we're going to do. I don't want to get fancy with this one, because a lot of campaigns are misleading. They look like they make a lot of money, and they do, but they're also selling more stuff, which increases your overhead. And I like lean campaigns personally for my sanity. So that's what we're going to do for that one. And then we have another question in the chat. Do we need a decoder ring? You do not need a decoder ring. Doug Garrett says, sup ninjas? Sup, Doug Garrett? I was going to play your trailer here in just a second so that you can, so people who haven't seen it can. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it right now on my end. Tell me if you can hear the audio. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Let me pull this up. Here we go.
I'm not sure it'll work.
Did you hear that?
I heard. Was that the spicy ramen
thing? Yes.
Okay,
yeah, I heard it through your mic, I think, but that was it.
You couldn't hear it through the normal speakers then.
In fact, I'm not sure StreamYard does audio streaming unless specifically you're using Chrome, but I remember using Chrome once and it still didn't do it.
Yeah, John Della Rose was having trouble with that earlier today. I was going to play Doug Garrett's trailer. I can play the music, I know that, but you just have to see it with a trailer because it just looks so cool. But if you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, you can go on Kickstarter. The link is in the description, and you can check it out. His music is incredible. It's so good. And if you want to hire him to do some trailer work for you in terms of music, I mean, he is very affordable and very accessible. So make sure to hit him up as well.
Okay, I gotta split you guys, but keep going on without me.
We will
too, actually, because it's about me.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you have to dip out, you guys, you can dip out. I'll stick around for about another 10 minutes here with our guests, and then we'll call it a night. We're very happy. 27 people in the chat. This is really cool. So thank you so much, Mark. Have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, though, to everybody who has backed, everybody who has shared and supported us, everybody in the chat, and everybody Hut and Sonic the Hedgehog there, and Thomas, and everybody who's helping us out, man. We appreciate it.
I want to say congrats also for you not only hit the goal and then you doubled it like in the same day. It's about to sort of triple, possibly, before the end of the night. So, I mean, that would be pretty sweet. And
it's amazing.
Already a nice big successful launch. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and the thing I'm happy about with it is we kept our overhead low. Pretty much the expense that we had to pay was I had to pay 3 artists, but altogether, I mean, it was definitely within our budget, like very, very low. So Sashi, Carrot contributed. Actually, now she's contributed 3 pieces of art, so I'm very happy for that. Genzo, the most expensive were Genzo and Cute Sexy Robots, but in terms of cover art, very affordable. So we kept it low, and obviously because there's only 2 people working on the book, that means that we keep our personal overhead to a bare minimum. So I'm very happy. If we make it to 6K, that's a lot more than what we even bargained for, since our goal was so low. So I'm very happy with where we are.
I kind of like that approach too, is just going for selling the book And it's like, here, it's just a book. Just go for that. And I mean, you know, I like the big elaborate, like seeing the earthworm
gems,
yeah, the box and all the extra stuff. That's awesome. But I do like that people can just get crowdfunding to sell a comic, and that's, you know, that's all you need. Just straightforward, simple, keeping it simple. And I really I like that, and I kind of I would say I prefer that, but I don't actually have any preference.
Well, and one of the things that we did for this one too is we offered digital, and so we weren't going to, not because we didn't want to, but because we were going to go with Comixology, just like put the book up there. And I know you had success because you got literally up there, but John Della Rose, he's been waiting for 5 months for them to approve his book. And I was
there may be personal bias there too. I don't know.
Yeah, and so they said he was like, it's kind of this nebulous phenomenon where you put your book on Comixology and you just have no clue when it's gonna get up there.
It took like three, almost 4 months for them to put mine up there, and mine's just a simple like little 25-page comic. And I think it was about 2 full months, but and that can be considered as not a lot of time, but I mean that is a huge long wait. And it's nice to have it up there, but ultimately it is easier to say I printed it myself and I could just send it to you myself. Or I actually kind of prefer Gumroad at this point. You could just put up a zip file of your comic. And I mean, for me, I'm very used to that sort of almost shoestring approach with comics, because I've read so many comics just either off of zip files or CBZs or off of like pirate websites and that kind of stuff. That's just how I'm used to it at this point. But you know, you can't really make money through that. You can make money through Gumroad at least.
And it's funny. I'm glad that you mentioned it, because the only thing I've known Gumroad for is as a tool for artists to sell like custom brushes on for like Photoshop and stuff. I actually did not know that you could use it as like a hub for other things.
Sam Hyde has his TV show. Like, you know, he makes new episodes and just sells them over Gumroad. People just subscribe to him, and then, you know, when he comes out with an episode, you just download it off of his Gumroad, and it's like, I didn't even know you could do that, because, you know, they're pretty big files, but apparently that works. I don't know how much money he makes, but I guess it's enough to justify it.
Yeah, and we're so new to this, frankly, that there's so many venues that people can take for their own books. Like, for example, I don't know if you've looked at the Rags Patreon. So, you know, Brian Ball and I are like really good friends, and he was the first person to contact me for freelance work from the indie comic scene back in like 2016. So I saw him grow from like a $200 Patreon, and he's like a juggernaut right now in terms of like how much money he gets per month. Now, all that money goes to his creative team. But I think that's why, like, when he and I talk, I tell him, like, for the crossover that we're doing with Punchline and Black Ops, I'm like, you should just crowdfund it, dude. And he's like, I don't need to crowdfund it. Like, have you seen my Patreon? Like, it's big enough that I can just sell it there. And I'm a simp when it comes to that type of stuff. And I was like, dear God, like, you're kind of right. I mean, you could just do it that way.
Patreon's really easy to work with. I have a Patreon, and I guess I should plug that, because I almost never mentioned that. It's patreon.com/smugly. Yeah, which is LAILY. But you know, all that is like a tip jar for us, but for other people to like directly fund art and comics, I think that's actually how, if I was making a regular comic, I would prefer to do it as a web comic, and I would prefer to fund it through Patreon or New Project too, if I had to do that. But I really like that, because it's just once a month you get a payout from all of your backers, and your backers know they're going to get charged once a month. And so the money goes towards you, and then you can use it to fund the art or whatever, or pocket it, I guess. But whatever you do with it, it's reliable, you know, at least relatively, unless they shut you down, which I guess is something you always have to have a contingency for. You have to know if you're likely to be shut down by Patreon.
I think it also depends.
You don't want
on
to be like Sargon and say some naughty words somewhere.
Yeah, you have to watch out for that. You have to watch out for what you say on other websites, I guess. But I mean, like if you're Rags, I don't think you have to worry about that kind of thing because he doesn't do, anything that spicy or anything on other websites. Because if you just have a comic that's like, I just want to get the comic out there, here it is on this website, and the Patreon pays for its existence. I think that's a nice, straightforward, and very modern way to do it. That I think I see a lot of people starting to do that, and I think that's kind of the way of the future is paying upfront for a comic that then gets made that you then receive in a very direct way, and then print is just kind of an optional thing for people who just have more money to spend, I guess. But yeah, there's the modern options are really. I think really good for creators. I think kind of overlooked, but a lot of people are basically growing up in an era where you pay upfront for the thing to have it become existing, and then it exists, and then you receive it. And I think that might be really healthy for comics, but it's also very strange, and it's in kind of a nebulous. Zone, a nebulous era for comics, but I think that might be the entire future as it is.
I think the nebulous area is what like Comic Book Hut talks about, where it is in the terms of service of Kickstarter, and I think it's also in the terms of service for Indiegogo, where technically no one is obligated to actually produce product because they're actually just fundraising sites. And it's the idea that you're giving money for altruism. Now, that's only on paper. The reality is that most people, whenever they donate, they know that they're not donating. They're expecting product in return. Yeah. And so I think like a competitor to Kickstarter or Indiegogo would be basically a funding site that is specifically for the medium of comics, where it's like you give money, but it is imperative on the creator to produce a product. And if you do not deliver on the time that you do, basically you forfeit all the funding that you get. And I pitched this to someone who basically was, they say they have deep pockets and they can invest. And I was like, well, if you have deep pockets, what I would do if I were you is create basically a pared down version of a crowdfunding site, but just have it for comics. And you can get in touch with different printers, and you can basically have a one-stop shop. You set a timeline, you have people pull their money into it, you close your campaign, and then you go into a production mode. And from then on, you talk to a printer, you talk to a fulfillment company. If it's digital, you have a means of sending that out. But the problem is, if you don't deliver by the time that you set, and I think there should be like an arbitrary time, like 3 months, 4 months, whatever it might be. If you don't make it in that time window, it's over. Like they flush all the money back to the consumer, because why should you keep the money? You didn't deliver on a product.
Or they don't charge them or something. But then that might be a lot more messy.
Yes. And, that's one of those things where, again, Comic Book Hut, as a consumer, that's one of those types of opinions I think matters.
Well, here's the thing. I'm looking at your campaign on the Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. You want a pledge of $2,000.
Right.
So as a campaign, you should be allowed to use that $2,000.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
But the rest of it, I don't think you should be able to touch it.
Right.
Until the end of the campaign.
Correct. And I agree with that. I agree with that too.
Yeah.
I think the one thing on Indiegogo, from what we've seen, is complete total control of the money from these creators.
Right. And so I agree with you. I think that whatever you set as a funding goal, that should be held kind of in a coffer, and it's the idea that you don't pull from it.
It's like a deposit.
Yes, 100%. And that's what I told this gentleman as well. And he never went through with it. But hey, if you're listening out there and you like this idea, you can steal it, because I like it. Because it teaches a couple of things. One, it teaches you budgeting, because it means you have to set a realistic goal. Two, it's security for the people who invest in you, because they know that their money is going to be invested into production. It's not going to go to a lavish lifestyle. It's not going to go to something that only benefits the creators.
And the creators shouldn't have had in the first place.
Yes, exactly. Things of that nature. But, that's kind of a pie in the sky thing. But I just imagine that someone out there who's looking at this I'm hoping that someone is already thinking about this in terms of a parallel fashion. But that's a really good observation, Hut. That's something that Mark and I have talked about, privately, at least in the last 2 years.
Well, I've been talking about that for quite a while myself. It's not fair to any kind of consumer to get a product and the creator drags their feet on the production part. And that's the one thing I've noticed on the other side, is that the production part of it seems to be the major problem more than anything else. And I think part of it, and I feel that if you're going to produce a comic book, say what you're doing, 56 pages, it's got to be at least halfway done before you even start to talk about it.
Well, that was the way Indigo. I can't remember which platform required video games. You had to have a prototype to actually use the platform.
I don't know much about video games, but that would make sense that you would want to have a prototype for that. I mean, you don't want to have with a comic book like 4 or 5 sample pages, and that's it. And then those sample pages sit there for months and months and months.
But it also depends on if the creator is able to pay for the rest of the comic themselves, because some can't.
Right.
Like, me in particular, I wasn't able to even afford to pay for the rest of the art because I'd already sunk in a bunch of money. And so it's like what I really needed. And that is still what the crowdfunding sites are for, is to actually get funding for something that you can afford to finish paying for yourself otherwise. But I mean, with a lot of these other examples, a lot of them absolutely could have had their books finished before they ever started a campaign. And then they take the campaign, they take the money, and then they still don't release their comic for years.
And here's the beauty of it too. There's a way around that using that same model. So for example, let's say you can only afford to pay your artist for 5 pages. So you have those 5 pages on this, fictional platform. But in this fictional platform, they're like, okay, well, how much money do you need? And let's say you think, okay, I need to make 20 more pages. So 20 times 100 is 2,000. I need $2,000. And they say, okay, so raise $2,000. That's what people are going to put into it. And who's your artist? Oh, it's Tim Lim. Okay, well, here's how this is going to work. When Tim Lim submits a page to us, we pay him $100. So then there's accountability on the artist side, because the artist can't get lazy. He's not going to get paid unless he's actually actively producing the art. So that's like security on 3 levels. That's security for the consumer, that's security for you, because it means that your artist isn't being lazy and just putting it off. And it's also the fact that, a guy who can't complete 50% of the work, that's fine. Complete 5 pages, put that up, and you still have like a cushion to protect yourself, so that it puts pressure on your artist to actually deliver on time, because he's not going to get paid unless he actually submits, things in.
Yeah, that's kind of the Patreon model, because there's a setting for Patreon to only charge per month, and then there's another setting to charge like per
time you post or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of a good way to. Well, in a way, that's a way to charge more than per month, but that's also a way to guarantee that you're getting work out there. So you can say, I'm going to charge every customer when I post a page. That means I could post 4 pages a month, or I could only post 1 page a month, or I could post a series of pages per month. But if I don't post anything per month,
because
it doesn't charge anyone.
You could be an artist that doesn't post anything for a month, and you wouldn't feel comfortable taking their money, but then post like 2 things the next month or something like that.
Yeah, and I have still seen I've seen artists that like for comics specifically, Dresden Kodak was the one in particular that charged per month and then would go an entire month or a month and a half without releasing a single page. And that was definitely a way to make sure they were still pulling in money. And the pages definitely didn't look like they took an entire month to make.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know that was a stipulation. I always thought that regardless of content, Patreon just took money out. And that's why I've always been hesitant about it, because I know Brian's been trying to get me into doing a Patreon, but I'm like, man, I am so busy. I would feel bad if I told people I would produce monthly content, and I failed to deliver because of time or because it wasn't even feasible. So now I might have to look into that again, because that sounds more reasonable to me.
I would consider New Project 2 above Patreon just because I think it's a safer. New Project 2 isn't going to, or they're less likely to just shut you down because of something you said on another website anyways. Not that that would even be a problem for you. You could definitely have a Patreon. I don't think any problem. I almost feel like something like New Project 2 is better to support just because they're more open and honest about their policy.
I was thinking maybe, if you wanted to do a Patreon thing, maybe you could like put out like samples of some of your older books, like your first Black Ops books, and say if you can't afford it, doing it, going to the store or going through one of these campaigns, you put a page out, and you get a Patreon that way. That way you don't.
Yeah. That way they get it kind of piecemeal.
Right. And you can have like a little series.
Mm-hmm. Like a webcomic, essentially.
Right. Like a webcomic, maybe produce one page a week. I mean, if you're doing your original book, what was that, 44 pages?
48 at least, 56
48.
on average.
You could do that for like a whole year.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that idea.
And maybe take the time off from certain holidays, like a Christmas week, or you put something extra in for like a Christmas week as a gift.
Yeah, like as a bonus to people.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I'm gonna think about this very seriously because, like I said, Thomas knows what's going up with My Hero Magademia 3, the Magalorian. We have something different that we're doing with it, but we're looking at other ways to expand because the reality is that like I think you've talked about it, crowdfunding is kind of hot right now, but you're already starting to see a glut, and there's a lot of mistrust, which means that it's a very vacillating market right now. So the best thing you do, like any type of investment, like a portfolio, is you have to expand your platforms. So
there's always new platforms forming. You just got to find them, and there's always an audience. Like you said before, not everybody knew about your books until you put it on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole totally different audience that you're going to. Here's the thing. I was interested on that $35 perk because I was interested in that little statue, and I was shocked that you sold out so quickly.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
I was baffled. That I don't think that's ever happened before. Normally, like on Indiegogo, maybe it's just us. Our higher tiers tend to sell out last.
Right.
And I've always attributed that to the average customer just wants to spend the least amount of money. But if you have customers with a disposable income, especially in the Trump economy, they're going to want like the higher priced item, but we wouldn't know until we tried it, which we did today. And that's why I was flabbergasted. I was like, holy cow, like that's already half my stock virtually. Like, what do I do now? So yeah, you bring up a very good point. Different audience.
Kickstarter is just a larger audience too. And it's well known. Yeah. Not everybody knows what Indiegogo is. I didn't until about 2 years ago. I knew what Kickstarter is. Pretty much everybody else does.
Yeah, Kickstarter goes way back too. I mean, still the biggest ever crowdfunded comic is on Kickstarter, and that was in like 2012.
Right.
Preston Poulter had told me because I think you know by now, Comic Book Hut. I like fast, rapid fulfillment. I feel like if we're going to do crowdfunding, it should feel more like a streamlined model where the customer doesn't have to worry about where their books are. They're going to get it. And so my biggest problem was the headache. I was like, I've never done Kickstarter before. When I send this to fulfillment, are they going to have a conniption when they feel like they have to like juggle two platforms that they don't know anything about and I have to explain it to them? But basically, Preston Poulter, he just took me aside and he said, if you go in Kickstarter, you are going to make $1,000 without even trying. You don't even have to market a day. You're guaranteed that much money. And he was like, that is money that you can use to offset other things and going through your overhead. And trust me, it's just not necessarily because your book is good, but because there are so many people on the platform that just the market will just naturally funnel that your way.
I mean, you saw it today. You know how quickly you sold out that one perk and the other perk. I mean,
in 3 hours. Yeah, not even in half of the day, but just 3 hours.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, and I think now that we're having this conversation, I think, Thomas and I had talked about it when he decides to do literally. I was like, I think they're onto something. You should probably try on Kickstarter because one, it's pretty easy to navigate, and two, they have proven correct that it is a different market and it's a larger market too.
Yeah, more supportive for comics apparently, from what I've heard a lot, and I've heard like they have not a whole section for comics, but it's like almost specific support for people trying to make comics of any kind. And it's like, yeah, that sounds good, because Indiegogo, I just started because everyone else was going there, but it's like if it's starting off still a smaller comics community than on Kickstarter, then it's like, oh, I should have started on Kickstarter anyways. It's a Big Man Little Flowers in the chat says, will Kamen America end up on Antarctic Press eventually? That's a good question. So Antarctic Press, we have a very good working relationship with them. They get first dibs on anything we work on to put into retail. The question that people will typically ask next is, if it's going to be in retail eventually, chances are it's going to be cheaper. So why do we back the campaign? What we do with the campaign is we always add 8 extra pages, if not more. I think in Black Ops 2, we actually added 12. So we make it so that you buying the campaign version of the book, you're going to get a better quality book, more story, better binding, because it's guaranteed to be square bound. And we typically will throw in stuff as well. But because we like supporting the smaller shops and we like supporting, small companies like Antarctic Press, we want to make sure that they can make a living off of our stuff too. So if they like Kamen America, if they see how our campaign is going, they get first dibs with it, and we sign off on it. We just tell them, go ahead and print it. Black Ops 2 will actually be in stores in March. I just approved a PDF 2 days ago, and that book, because it's naturally big, it's going to be $7. But you are going to be saving a lot of money compared to the campaign version. It's just you're not going to get the extra 12 pages.
Now, Tim, you had that unusual thing with Black Ops 2. How are you going to do that and with Antarctic Press?
They're doing it the same way, but there's no Penelope backup story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's Patriotter and USAGI, so you completely miss out on the ladies' side of things.
So you have it upside down with the second story then?
Yep, upside down with the second story.
Wow.
Is the back cover going to be the cute, sexy robots one too?
Yep, it's going to. No, it's Luigi Terrell. So completely different back cover. The cute, sexy robots one was just for the campaign.
Okay.
So
another bonus for the actual campaign. Although I was going to say it would always be cool to see in actual comic book stores drawing by cute, sexy robots, and that's always possible with other people's projects too.
Will there be ads in the Antarctic Press book?
For us, they don't put ads because we fill it. No, we fill in all the space. Typically,
but you did that with the campaign. But is that going to be in the stores like that?
Yeah. It's going to be exactly. It's going to be exactly as is. Antarctic Press has only put an ad on the back cover of one of our books. So it was for My Hero Marketing.
I gotta say, for a small indie company, they have great books in terms of just the quality, the paper, and the covers. It's amazing.
We learned from them because we were so impressed with the My Hero Macadamia book because it was printed on 80-pound paper, which is that's how you don't get fluting, is you print on the higher quality
or something.
Right, and that's their default. I was like, so give me the specs on this, and they were like, it's 10-point cardstock, it's 80-pound paper. That's our standard for everything that we print. And I was like, I just wrote that down, and I said, okay, so that's the bare minimum we have to do to be sure to print it. And because Antarctic Press is owned by 2 brothers who have been in the business for a long time already, they trust the creators, which means if you don't really want to put ads in your book, I can't speak for everyone, but for us, they've never pressured us into putting ads. And so we've already done, let's see, I can't even count. We've done so many books, and I think only 2 of them had ads in them. I think Trump Space Force, the retail version, had an ad in the back, and My Hero Macadamia had an ad, but Walmart did not, and Black Ops did not.
And the ads are usually just for their other books or something, isn't it? Or
yes, their ads are for their other books.
Yes, and that is a good thing to have. You're going to have ads. Having ads by the publisher for their other books is something that certainly doesn't age nearly as much as ads for ping pong paddles and magic potions that will give you
Toyota Camry or something.
My Pillow.
Oh yeah, or movies that came out in like 1993 or something.
There was one. I was looking at this ad. I don't know if you reviewed this comic or not, Comic Book Cut, because I remember I was watching someone review this book, and I laughed because I remember this. It was in a Marvel book from like the early 2000s, and it was an ad for the DVD release of Daredevil, and it was so shameless because it was Daredevil in the background, and it was Jennifer Garner as Elektra in the foreground. And the caption just said, "Buy it on DVD and stare as much as you want." And I was like, "Wow, this did not age well at all."
Yeah, I wouldn't see that in that movie.
I went to the movies to see that.
I did too. We were actually talking about that the other night.
Yeah, in the theater. Actually, went to the theater.
The Dollar Theater. I went to the Dollar Theater.
That's right.
Lumdrop says it would be cool to make up fake ad pages for things that don't exist. I'm going to do that when I print my book.
That would actually be good. Lumdrop is a really good artist, by the way. You can follow him on Twitter.
So, Lumdrop, what's your handle on Twitter? Is it at Lumdrop? Because I don't know if I follow you or not. I try to follow the people that I see all the time. So just, I guess, post it in the chat. If you're anonymous, that's okay. Just DM me and let me know so that I know to follow you.
Where is it? I'm following him somewhere. Where is it?
Big Man Little Flower says, awesome. I like having the Antarctic versions too. Well, thank you. And thank you for supporting them. They're good people. They support creators. So this is like a little known secret about them. A lot of people are like, I like Image because Image is creator owned. You get to keep 100% of everything you do. Antarctic Press does that too. In fact, they don't even care if you print something outside of them. That's what Rags does. Rags still self-publishes and goes through them. So he actually double dips, and they're completely fine with that.
I mean, basically going through like just having a digital origin and then saying, all right, now that this exists digitally, I can go have it printed, at extra cost, because that is the reality of a print comic. Is you're essentially making the comic at a more expensive option than if it was just a web comic. Because you have all the extra overhead that you wouldn't have to worry about otherwise. So you would have to take that much more money. But I mean, it does make a lot of sense if you got money from Patreon to fund the existence, and then if you got money through a crowdfund to then fund the actual printing and the fulfillment, which is what a lot of webcomics have already done for the past decade, actually. I follow Lumdrop on Gab. Oh, Tim does. Yeah, at Lolo Lumdrop. That's his Twitter account.
So the funny thing, Lumdrop, is I don't think I'm on Gab. If there's a Donald Thump account, that's actually Brett R. Smith. He set up a Gab account using the handle, and I don't think we've touched Gab ever since that book came out, because obviously they went through things.
Gab's pretty cooled down as far as, okay, here's Lumdrop on Gab. I will follow on Gab.
Well, thank you, Lumdrop. So it's at Lolo Lumdrop. I will make sure and check on Twitter that I'm following you.
Gab.
Oh, it's on Gab, or is that Lolo Lumdrop on Twitter?
No, he doesn't post much on Gab. His last post on Gab, August 11th, 2019.
That was quite a while ago.
Yeah, he'd certainly post more on Twitter. I mean, it's sad to say, but Twitter is pretty much where it's happening. Anyways, I gotta head out for now, so gotta get to work.
Well, if you don't mind, it's an hour and 22 minutes, so we're going to end it here because we normally stream for an hour, but we stayed on for 22 more minutes because we had like 30 people watching, which is really good for a Thursday night. I just want to say thank you to my guests again. Thank you to Thomas Royloop. I mentioned it last night, but guys like him and his brother and guys like the Comic Book Hut, it turns out like they've had my back even before I knew them. And we didn't, I mean, like he said, it wasn't because like they felt like they owed us anything. It was because they felt like I was right about certain things. And I appreciate that even more because it means from an outsider perspective.
That's the right thing to do, really.
Right.
Yeah, they just felt it was objectively correct. And I like that because, don't get me wrong, I make wrong decisions all the time. But there are some times when I'm thinking to myself, no, I'm pretty sure I'm correct as far as this is concerned. So whenever I can find people who kind of think like that, I at least know I'm not crazy. So that's very reassuring. So I want to thank him. Please be sure to buy his book, Literally #1 on Comixology. It is great. It's cheap too. I think it's like $1, and you're going to be entertained.
Just $1.
It's $1. If you're in Comixology, believe me, you are going to be entertained. So make sure to pick it up.
It's also on Gumroad.
Also on Gumroad. Yeah. The Comic Book Hut, great content. He is the people's champion, and by that, he represents the consumer. He and Preston Poulter. Well, I want to say less of Preston Poulter because he's a creator, but he is kind of speaking truth to power. Comic Book Hut is amongst the people. He is a consumer. He's an advocate for consumers. I appreciate what he's talking about recently a lot. So I want to thank him for being on our show, and I want to thank him for his support for the last 2 years ongoing. Please have his back. Please support him on his channel. And as always, Captain Cummings, the legendary Captain Cummings, a man of honor and principle who has served our country, just a cool guy all around. I want to thank you for joining us tonight as well.
Oh, it's nice coming in.
Thank you. Are you drinking?
No.
Not tonight. Okay, good. Well, have a good night, everyone. I think we're going to stream tomorrow. That's not for certain, but we're very happy where we are right now with our campaign. So we don't want to like ram it down your throats like every other day. We are going to take some time off as well, especially during the weekend. So have a good night, everyone. We will see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.